Well, we have more realignment that it could be breaking at any moment, probably as we record this episode. And a new UCF recruit officially commits. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Charge On. As always, I am your host, Sean Green. What a crazy, I want to say week, but it's really been, honestly, it's been months. It's been years. I haven't even introduced you, sir, and you start to. First, I will introduce you first. Everybody, this is Kyle DeWitt. Rob, Nick could not be on this episode. We needed a fill-in. We needed a, what's the term in baseball? A pinch hitter. Because we needed to talk this realignment. I saw, we'll talk Arizona State. I'm assuming, first of all, before we get into all that, I want to thank everybody for last week's episode. Biggest episode on the channel so far. The support has been amazing. I understand realignment is the fresh topic, and I am just so blessed and honored that you chose to click on our video last week. And to all the Big 12 fans and Pac-12 fans that are on this video for that specific reason, I put a timestamp down below. So if you want to skip the UCF talk, you can go to that moment in this podcast. But for our UCF fans, we're going to get into a little bit of UCF talk before then. But Kyle, welcome. First episode 61. Is your first episode, but thank you for pinch hitting tonight.
61, but
61 episodes, but you got here. But how are you doing tonight? And thank you for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. I love to be on this show, man. I've been a fan of this show for very long. Sean and I have worked a lot in the past. We did a lot of stuff back in college, but I've covered UCF for over 4 years, both writing and also on-air stuff as well. So I'm not walking into this blind. So I think I know what I'm talking about. But hey, I'm very ready to get into the show.
100%. Well, let's get into our UCF information. We've got a new commit in DayDay Farmer, and we've got some information that could lead to our next couple commits for the 24 class. But listen, we've had this connection, guys. We've known that this 24 class was going to be special. We discuss it almost every week on this podcast, where the coaching staff has been putting in absolute work this year. Even in the 25 class, it's been incredible to see, and to see the commits that continuously are kind of getting announced is incredible. So it got announced just a couple days ago that DayDay Farmer, wide receiver out of Cocoa, has committed to UCF future 24. We kind of assumed that this was somebody on the table. He got offered late by UCF. He was committed to Pitt. He committed to Pitt in December. And if you go watch clips of this kid, it gives you goosebumps. I mean,
electric.
Electric is the word. Elite route runner, can go up and get a ball at only 5'11". Man's got hops. So a really exciting prospect. Kyle, obviously you saw this commitment. To get a wide receiver at this point in the process is great, right? Again, we have Kason Stokes. He committed a little bit earlier in the process. Now you get another electric wide receiver with potentially more to come. But what do you like out of DayDay? Obviously, hometown hero, but what did you like out of DayDay committing to the Knights?
You hit the nail on the head. I really like the route running from him. The main thing that I do see out of him coming to a Power 5 program, which is what I love to hear about UCF, by the way, Power 5 program. He's going to be a slot guy for us. With how electric and agile he is, he's going to be great in the slot, jet sweeps, lots of screens, especially since Gus loves to run his screens, but very fast, very agile. I see him, very elite route runner. I see him being a slot for us long term, and especially with how old our wide receiver core is getting with Javon Baker and with Kobe Hudson, we need people to step up and step up fast. And probably if he gets redshirted this year, I don't think he's going to get, after next year, he's probably going to have to step up big time. Very fast and very early on.
No, and it's a good point. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think slot is going to be a good position for him, but I know with the size, right? I understand that's kind of the place that you would think to put him. If the development goes well, and again, this is all determined on, he's going to be an incoming freshman, but I could see him playing outside. Seeing how he goes over top of DBs in some of the clips I've seen, he's got that kind of elite awareness and ball skill on high pointing the ball and finding where that thing is. So I really love the commitment. And it gets more exciting by the day, right? Because listen, there's months away until these guys can officially put pen to paper. So like we said, right, and I've always said it, at the end of the day, these are not set in stone. They could be changed.
They're just commitments.
I mean,
he's already flipped once. He says he can't flip again, but I love that he's committed to the UCF Knights as of right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, guys. Like, at the end of the day, I think we saw a couple decommits from our program, right? Scheer Edwards was one of them. I think a lot of these kids, the UCF brand is starting to become, listen, hometown heroes. If you're a hometown hero, you're more than likely going to stay committed. Now, again, like I said with Scheer Edwards, he was a hometown hero. He decommits. They're going to do what's best for you. But I think DayDay was waiting for this offer. He was waiting for UCF to offer him. We offered him, and he decommits from Pitt. And Pitt fans even said, like, he never felt like he was committed. Like, he was taking a bunch of visits. He was getting a bunch of offers, waiting for that right opportunity. We'll see what happens. But there's a couple names that could potentially also be UCF commits in the not-too-distant future. Hardly Gilmore, Brendel Richardson are two names. Kyle, those are two, that would be 3 4-star receivers. And in Cason Stokes, a basic 4-star. I mean, he's a high-end 3-star prospect. Now, I always say on the show, and the fans of this show know, and they're probably tired of me of hearing it out of me, but I always say, the stars do not matter. It matters in the sense of when you're trying to rate the team's off seasons and recruiting classes and seeing how it stacks up. It matters in that sense. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the player and what they do. But in this sense, for UCF to potentially, I'm not saying it's going to happen, right? You got DayDay Farmer. But if you can go get Harley Gilmore and Brendel Richardson to commit, they're composite 4-stars. To get 3 composite 4-stars to commit in the same class, and again, we don't know if Cason Stokes would then, decommit and look elsewhere. I have no idea. I really like Cason Stokes. I think he's a big-time outside guy that can also play in the slot as well. How big, and we always talk about how big it is for the program, but you get that only out of elite programs where you could see 3 to 4 4-star wide receivers committing in a class. So what would that say about necessarily this offense, especially after a year where the offense wasn't necessarily electric, but making certain changes in the offseason, getting an offensive coordinator like Darren Hinshaw, and the excitement around the program to where you could potentially get 3 4-star composite wide receivers?
Well, last year's recruiting class, it was all based off building up the trenches. It was all based off building up the running game because Darren Hinshaw at UAB, he loved to run the football. They were one of the best running. They were one of the best running teams in all of America. But now that we have hopefully EJ Colson, well, he's already committed for 2025. We want to be able to build up that wide receiver corps for the immediate future. Like I said earlier, Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson, they're all upperclassmen. They're all going to be gone. And being able to get 3 composite 4-stars in one class, that's upper level Power 5 numbers. Like, that's up there with the Ohio State gets 5 stars, but like if they get 3 4-stars or 4 4-star wide receivers in one class, that's a win for them. So for a brand new Power 5 program in UCF, being able to do that right off the bat, that's a W. That's money right there. That's exactly what we want to build up this program, and we're showing early on in the Power 5 game that we can recruit with the best of them.
I'm really excited for DayDay. Let's see if he puts pen to paper. I'm very comfortable in saying that. But again, who knows? But there's a lot of other names that could be committing to the Knights here in the month of August. And we will be discussing them here on Charge On when that happens, especially we are less than a month from opening night. So you're going to be getting your 2 episodes a week here shortly, Knights fans. It's going to happen, and more work for me is fine by me because we love talking Knights football. But, all right, the time has come. I know there's Knights, training camp is basically open, so there's that to discuss, but there's so much more time in this month to discuss depth chart and where players are going to be playing, who's going to be starting and how players are looking. There's so much time to discuss that. This realignment stuff happens basically by the minute. Just like I said, it changes by the minute. As you see, I'm in an undisclosed location, not my same mic, not my same place that I usually record.
I woke up, me and Kyle, I want to thank Kyle DeWitt for coming on. Very interesting morning, as we all know, as UCF fans, as Big 12 fans. Usually I'm wearing a hat. No hat for me today. I was not ready to be recording a second part of this episode. Me and Kyle were on last night for about an hour. Talked through everything that we thought we knew about Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Oregon, Washington, leaving the Pac-12, because, again, those were the reports that we were hearing. By all accounts, that was what we expected to happen when we woke up this morning. We saw reports that, Arizona was a little bit farther in the process, but we just assumed that Arizona State would be next and then vice versa. I'm sorry if you hear anything, if the mic's not as good. Again, this stuff changes by the minute, so we had to scrap the entire second half of the episode that we recorded because it was old news, and a lot has happened in just a span of a couple hours this morning. So the episode we recorded last night was about 8:30, and right now it is 11:08. I'm assuming I'm going to get this episode up as quick as I get done recording this. The time frame has been crazy. I went through it last night. I'm going to go through a quick version. We all assumed, and I think us as UCF fans, Big 12, Pac-12 fans that are watching this, we all assumed that Friday morning it would be official that Arizona and Arizona State would be leaving the Pac-12 and joining the Big 12. Shortly after that, we expected Oregon and Washington to go to the Big 10. They've already been vetted by the Big 10, and even though USC and UCLA did not want any more West Coast schools, expansion is key, and we all expected that. Shortly after that, we were then expecting Utah to make the jump to the Big 12 because they didn't want to be left in a dead conference. Now, I said on last night's pod, and you will never see this, lost into the abyss part of the podcast, and I said this earlier in last expansion videos, right, in realignment. I don't wish any conference to be dead, to not be relevant. I love college football. I love college athletics, just like all of you. And I think this conference realignment stuff, and it's all ridiculous. And it hurts the sport, and it makes it more like a professional atmosphere. But at the same time, we do have to understand the business and what is happening. And you don't want to get left in the dust, right? You don't want to get left in the back seat of that car when it's driving away. So UCF, again, we've been in a great spot, and we're so privileged and honored to be in the Big 12 and not in another conference where the thought might be that you're basically going to be non-existent. So we all expected this to happen. This was what everybody was reporting. All of the big name scoopers and reporters were reporting. Arizona was primed and ready. They already got approval from the Big 12. They were out. Arizona State had changed their mind, and they were basically going and saying, we're going to go with Arizona. And Utah, even though they didn't want to go, seemed like Utah was going to go. This morning, news breaks. And I'm going to go through, there's a bunch of tweets that I now need to go through because it basically, in the span of literally an hour, things have changed basically by the second. So let's discuss everything. And I feel bad because it seems like now everything's kind of shifted again, and Kyle's entire segment gets cut on this show. But we will get him on at another time because there's just so much to go through. So early this morning, it kind of seemed like everything was getting changed. I'm trying to find the exact tweets, but it just seemed like everything. Brett McMurphy, 1 hour ago. At last minute, Pac-12 may stay together and sign grant of rights. After Monday's media rights offer, the Pac-12 held multiple Zoom meetings this week. Arizona's Bobby Robbins appeared fully committed to the Pac-12, so that one participant said if Arizona leaves, he should win an Oscar. So we see that, and we're like, this is changing everything. This is Arizona now is going to stay. Let me look at Pete Thamel, because I know Pete Thamel was the one that, or I forgot who the first one to say it was. So Pete Thamel, 1 hour ago, sources with the Pac-12 president meeting at the top of the hour, there's optimism about the league's grant of rights being signed. The key linchpin is Oregon. Heading to the meeting, the school is trending toward not going to the Big Ten. And it's in Pete Thamel. Oregon are expected to stay in the Pac-12, barring an 11th hour change. That could have the power to keep the league together, as Arizona has not finalized its deal with the Big 12. This was an hour ago. And again, Pete Thamel is a trusted source, and a lot of people were assuming that, everything is changing. Everything gets flipped on its head. So now you're telling me the Pac-12 is going to sign a media rights deal today. They're going to sign a grant of rights. The 9 schools are going to stay together, and that's going to be that. Then Pete Thamel puts out a tweet saying, sources indicating to me and at College Football Heather that the Pac-12 is unlikely to land the plane this morning and get its media rights deal signed on this call today. Multiple variables at play here, including 11th hour Big Ten push for Oregon and Washington. Everything remains fluid. Now, the one person I've been really kind of searching on and making sure I stay up to date is with Jason Scheer. He's with Wildcat Authority. He has been incredible in keeping fans of just everybody updated on the whole situation around Arizona and kind of Arizona State. I'm going to cut that. So, basically, let's start from what Jason had been hearing. 7 hours ago, or was it 7 hours ago? No. An hour ago, Arizona was still planning to go to the Big 12 after last night's meeting. Coaches were informed, and it was full steam ahead. We have said it's not over until it's over, but it would still be one of the most shocking turnarounds I have seen. Jason said even last night, he was on 365 Sports, great show, you should go watch it, especially if you're a Big 12 fan. Jason was saying, Arizona State has turned around. They don't want to go without, they're going to go with Arizona. Arizona was fine going without them, but of course they are on the same board of regents. They cover the same school. So if they were going to go, they kind of wanted to go together. And Arizona State's, AD and president were they didn't want to go to the Big 12. They wanted to stay in the Pac-12, but by all accounts, what it was looking like was the Pac-12 was going to die. And you don't want to be on a dying bus, right? So then Jason Scheer put out a tweet saying there's a very real chance that Arizona makes the decision to go alone. That was really the only tweet at the time, about an hour ago, that really said that Arizona is still in play to leave. I sent a text to Kyle just letting him know, listen, I don't think I can upload this episode. I was editing it as we spoke. I was about to hit export. I'm like, there's no way we could put up this episode because Arizona State and Utah, we were, again, assuming that Arizona State and Utah were going. But I need to now just record this quickly. Jason Scheer tweeting, I'm like, okay, Arizona will stay. Potentially, we'll see. Let me go record something. So Jason Scheer responded to a tweet. And please go follow. I'll put all of these Twitter handles down below, or X, whatever you want to call it, down below so you can go really read it and follow them. They're great follows. They do great work. A Twitter account said, did something change with the Apple contract, or did something change with the Big Ten and Oregon and Washington? Jason said, hard to say. There's a reason why every outlet said Arizona was in last night and Oregon and Washington had offers. Arizona fans, understandably, not happy about this. They ultimately are looking at it like we are looking at it, in saying, we're going to be in a dead conference, a dying conference. You sign that media rights deal. There are a lot of negatives with that media rights. There's a lot of negatives with it. Eyeballs are one of them. Sure, is there a chance that the Apple deal could potentially get up to the Big 12 deal? Yes. Is it likely? No. With that also being said, look at Amazon Prime's Thursday night numbers. That tells you everything you need to know. So, in Amazon Prime, let's get it straight here. Amazon Prime has a lot more members in their service. So it's all crazy. So at Chris Cartman, 54 minutes ago, again, I'm recording this at 10, 11 a.m. Arizona is doing everything it can to leave. The Arizona Board of Regents wants the schools to be together and has authority. Michael Crow, who is with Arizona State, is pushing for more consideration. Pac-12 is meeting this morning on a grant of rights. It's getting very messy. Crow has always preferred the Pac-12 stay together. And that's everything we heard. Arizona State really didn't want to go, as along with Utah. Utah really didn't want to go. But at the end of the day, the way it was turning and the way it was looking is that's just, they're going to be forced to go. Now, some Big 12 fans now are kind of, in the last 24 hours, they're like, let's just take Arizona. And I'm kind of tending to agree. I'm going to be honest, I said on the pod last night, to bring the two Arizona schools would be huge for the conference to get, again, that in-state rivalry. To bring both Arizona schools in would be huge. And then getting a football school like Utah, a school that is kind of on the rise in athletics, again, would be huge for the conference. And you get that fourth time zone. You get the four corner schools you want and you can move on. But the way that this athletic department and some of the fans are going about it, it's like if they want to stay in the Pac-12, honestly, if the Big 12 just takes Arizona and just waits if some ACC schools want to leave, I'd be fine with that. Because I think you could find some value in some of those ACC schools. Because this is getting to the point where it's going to be, we don't even want to go to the Big 12. And the leadership with Arizona State and Utah, if they go to the Big 12, aren't even going to want to be in the Big 12. The thing with the Big 12 right now, there's a lot of unity. They're together. There's not a lot of wanting to change options. So I'm really not loving how this is turning out, and it's getting very messy. So 31 minutes ago, Jason Scheer. A lot of rumors going on right now, hard to confirm, and we won't know the truth for a few more hours. One of the rumors is Oregon State and Washington State taking cuts that would go directly to Oregon and Washington, basically. That would be crazy. But listen, you have to do what you have to do. If I'm Oregon State and Washington State, listen, right now I think you're going from making $35 million a year, depending, to $4 million with the Mountain West. So I get it. You'll give up some money, ultimately knowing your place in the conference to make sure you're not left behind. There's another discussion about Pac-12 and ACC saving each other through a merger. That I think would be absolutely ridiculous. That makes absolutely no sense. Travel alone on that would be ridiculous, so I'm not really giving that much thought. If that actually happens, that'd be crazy. Then, not even 20 minutes ago, a Big Ten call has been scheduled for today to discuss Oregon and Washington. Brett McMurphy, Pac-12 unable to get grant of rights signed this morning, and nothing has changed as far as Oregon and Washington joining the Big Ten. Ducks and Huskies still expected to be Big Ten bound when finances are worked out. So we go from they're going to stay in the Pac-12 to not even 40 minutes later, they're going to the Big Ten still. It's absolutely insane. Now, 7 minutes ago, Jason Scheer. Sources indicate to Wildcat Authority that Washington is very concerned with the Apple deal. Arizona and Arizona State are still on track to join the Big 12. Arizona State President Michael Crow is proving to be a stumbling block, but parties involved are confident it can be overcome. It is absolutely insane to me how dysfunctional this is happening. It's so dysfunctional. Pete Thamel can confirm at Ralph Druso AP report that there's a Big Ten President's Call now scheduled for today. There wasn't one scheduled early this morning. So we can assume that there's going to be in that call either a vote to bring in Oregon and Washington or more of a discussion. I just want to make sure everything's going well. That's good. There's just a lot going on, guys. A lot going on. And I'm trying to bring it to you so you can kind of get all the information. But ultimately, we did a complete 360 and then another complete 360. Not even a 180, a complete 360 back and forth. Like, then it went from they're going to stay together to now they're right back in. So, John Costanzo, expansion is also part of the Pac-12 CEO group's meeting this morning. San Diego State and SMU fans on standby. Again, that makes the most sense, but because again, if the first thing was signing the media rights deal, which it looks like the Pac-12 is wanting to sign that Apple deal. They're trying to keep all these schools in by saying, hey, we're going to sign this Apple deal. We're going to bring in schools like San Diego State and SMU. That's going to increase the pot. And then whenever our media rights deal is up, we can look to renegotiate with this Apple deal. We're going to get incentives based on subscribers and yada, yada, yada. So at Reddit College Football, great recap. I'm not going to read the last one. Pac-9 saved. All schools staying and signing ironclad grant of rights. Arizona pushing to leave for the Big 12. Oregon and Washington rejected by Big 10. Pac-9 dead and not signing anything. Oregon and Washington to the Big 10. It's getting to the point where there's so much differing reports that I feel like I'm not giving you guys it's hard because I want to give you guys the best conversation and the best knowledge and my thoughts as a UCF fan in the Big 12 and how that affects UCF. And, Colorado made it easy. They ultimately said, we want to leave. We're leaving. Sayonara. There's a vote. They voted publicly. That's it. Arizona also feels like that. But I also understand Arizona's point where it's like, you do have another school kind of not even an hour away from you. You've been together pretty much your entire lifespan. You kind of want to go together, but you also don't want to die. You're going to go for your university, right? Dan Wetzel 10 minutes ago. Pac-12 couldn't close a grant of rights deal this morning. Fate of leak likely rests on if Oregon can make a deal with the Big Ten. There's hesitancy among many in Big Ten about logistics of 18-team league, travel to Eugene. Money usually wins out with these things. We'll see. So if I had to guess, the Big Ten will likely offer Oregon and Washington more money. Instead of the deal that they were going to get, which I think they were willing to offer, like 35 to 40 or something, they'll probably offer more of a deal. It's obviously not going to be a full share, but they will get more money. Arizona, I think regardless, the vibe that we just keep getting, and again, I really follow Jason Scheer. Jason Scheer seems to be the guy to follow when it comes to Arizona. He's been on top of it this entire time. And been a great resource. So if they do join the Big 10 or Big 12, if not, I would go follow Jason Scheer. But he has been very adamant that Arizona they have been primed and ready to leave. And the Board of Regents in Arizona, like we all know, is combined of the same schools, Arizona, Arizona State, and one other Arizona school. This is what is kind of causing the dysfunction. Is Arizona State, or Arizona's ready to go. Arizona State's Michael Crow is kind of holding it up. And it's causing Arizona to be like, come on, let's go. We want to go to the Big 12. Arizona State's like, I don't really want to go. I know you're wanting to go. It's almost like this analogy. Arizona State loves going to Chick-fil-A every time. They are Chick-fil-A people. They don't like to eat any other chicken. I don't want to say, I'm not going to say the Pac-12's Chick-fil-A. This is how my head is working this morning. Arizona State loves Wendy's. They love Wendy's. They love Wendy's chicken. Arizona says, I want to start going to Chick-fil-A every day. Not Wendy's. I want to go to Chick-fil-A. They've got the better chicken. Let's go. Arizona State's like, I know, I see what you're saying, but I've been going to Wendy's my entire life. We love Wendy's. I don't know if I want to make that jump yet. And Arizona's like, I've already ordered a chicken sandwich. I'm out the door. I don't know if that analogy is good, but that's basically what it is. It's Arizona State not wanting to pick up and move their butt over to the Big 12. And that's why there's a part of me, ultimately, I'm going to trust Jason Scheer. Arizona State are still on track to join the Big 12. I'm going to trust that. I'm just now getting, my concern is we're adding two schools in Arizona State and Utah that I don't actually want to be in the Big 12. And they're just doing it to get themselves saved. And ultimately, I think there are other schools that would be better adds than Arizona State and Utah. You look at the ACC. I love Virginia. I love Duke, Virginia Tech, Boston College even. There are schools in that ACC that when that ultimately kind of starts to fall apart, I think would be great adds for the Big 12. So I am fine. I said last night I was excited for Arizona State, Arizona, and Utah. Obviously, Arizona was my number one. I really loved Arizona joining. But this whole thing this morning has really soured the taste in my mouth when schools are joining. You want schools to be excited and optimistic to join. Colorado, yeah, they haven't been the best in the Pac-12. There's no question. But Colorado used to be in the Big 10 or Big 12, was successful, and ultimately they were optimistic in wanting to join the Big 12. Did they want to at the beginning? No. Was that their number one choice? No. None of these schools' number one choice is to leave. Let's make that very clear. That is nobody's first choice. But it's about when you make that decision, turning the leaf over and making sure you're optimistic and excited for that new challenge. It seems like Arizona State is planting their feet in the ground. Same thing with Utah. We haven't even discussed Utah because, frankly, there's nothing been out about Utah. To be completely honest, this might be a hot take. I was not really big on UConn. I really wanted Arizona State, Utah. If we could just leave Utah in their Pac-12, who's probably going to merge with the Mountain West, and take UConn, I'd much rather have that. Give us a school on our like a little bit of our time zone, a little bit, and leave Utah. I really liked the add of Utah. I think that'd be a great add to the Big 12. But the way that they're going about it, it's really having a sour taste. I'm sure in a year, if everything goes the way I'm, seeing it's going, then I'll feel differently. But I'm just not loving how this is all turning out. But I also understand it's a hard decision to pack up and move to a conference. Let me just have one final look to see if anything has changed before I let you guys go, because ultimately I want to get this up before any more news breaks. But I think we're all good right now. I don't think anything else is being announced. Obviously, whatever time this goes up, most likely stuff is going to change. But, all right. I think this is it. Cool. All right, guys. That is it for right now. I appreciate you. I'm sorry if this is not as much information or news or kind of conversation that you wanted, but this was the best I could do given the craziness that Friday, August 4th has happened. So I appreciate you tuning in to Charge On as always. And again, thank you so much for the support. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all that you do. We will be back next week. And again, in a couple weeks, we're going back to 2 episodes a week to get ready for your UCF Knights 2023 college football season. All right, let's stay up to date. We'll keep you guys informed. And hopefully this realignment stuff, or this expansion, realignment, whatever you want to call it, can be over here fairly shortly, because I want to start talking about actual football. All right, guys, this has been Charge On. We will see you next week.